This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so good morning all. As part of last session, we started with a power query and we observed regarding how to filter the required number of columns and how to filter the rows, Then after, what is the difference between delete and the reference, and how to move the tables or a columns we observed. Along with that, like go to column, keep rows, remove rows, sorting we discussed today. So we are going to observe few more, like transformations or major transformations we are going to understand. So few major transformations in power query are like append, merge, group by, and similarly pivot, unpivot. So these are the five major like transformations, I can say. Like first we will cover these things, then after we will cover the minor transformations. So first one is append transformation. So which you will observe here, append queries, or which you observe here, append queries. Append is nothing but like combining rows of two or more tables. So kind of union all operation which is available at SQL. Like here, append means it is going to combine the data of two tables. Now let me create a two tables first. So I'm creating a table called like books one, book ID, book name I mentioned, one, two I mentioned, PowerBI DAX I mentioned, and another table also I created, book ID, book name, like 4, 6, SQL, Python I mentioned, and here I'm calling it as book 2. So whenever you have like this book ID, book ID, and book name, so you have a similar data in two tables. If you want to get all the data from these two tables in a single table itself, at that time we are going to use append operation. So whenever you click on so currently I'm at books one table, and whenever I select this one and whenever I click on append queries, it is going to ask me, if you are appending a two table, what is the second table? If you are appending two or more tables, add the tables. So in this scenario, I'm appending with the two tables. I'm selected a book two. So whenever I click on it, you can observe that the book one and book two result combined in a single table. That is what append is. It is going to combine the rows of two or more tables. Now, when you are working on append, you need to understand that both the tables need to have same column name. Now if you observe in the first table, you have a book ID, book ID and a book name. In that book name, N is a capital on the original table. As part of my second table, I have N as a small, but book ID column is same. Whenever you perform append, you got one more column called book name with a small n, where book ID got integrated automatically in the same column because both the places the column names are same. But as part of a book name, as the names are different, we got one more column came. So it is not going to give any error It is just going to add one more column. And book name from a first table we got two records. Another book name from another table got as a separate new column. That is how append is going to work. And similarly, you may have any number of columns also. I am just mentioning a price: 100, 200. So whenever I have a three columns here and whenever I have a two columns here, if I perform an append, you can observe that you have four columns came. In that, price is one more column. In a SQL, if you want to perform a union or union all or intersect or except operations, you must have like same number of columns. But whenever you are doing append here, you don't need to have the same number of columns. You can have a different number of columns in each and every table. Wherever the column names are exact, అరే నా స్క్రీన్ కనపడతా ఉంటుంది స్క్రీన్ షేర్ నాకు స్క్రీన్ షేర్లో వచ్చింది నీ మెసేజ్లో ఆ క్లాస్లో స్క్రీన్ షేర్లో వచ్చింది అంటున్నా సో వెనెవర్ we append, if we have a same column name, we are going to get the data in the single column. If we have a different column name, we are going to get a separate columns here. It is not going to give any error. Similarly, and the final observation, I want to change the order of a columns. I want to change the order of a column. So in this table, I have a book name, book ID, price. In the above table, I have book ID, book name. When I append, so order not made any difference. It is not given any error, but based on the column name only, it was performed an append. This is all about append. So append is used to combine the rows of two or more tables. You need to make sure that the column names are same. If not, also it will work. Even if you have a different number of columns in each table, that will work. If you have a different position, that is also works. This is how append is going to work. Now, whatever the append operation that we performed, that is changed the data of a book one. Let's assume you don't want to change the book one. You want to create a book one and book two data together in a single table, separate table you want. At that time, I have a book one two columns, book two two columns. If I want to get the combination of records in a separate table, at that time you have an option called append queries as new. So whenever you click on it, new, a separate table you are going to get. Click on OK. So the book one not changed, book two not changed, only append has a separate result. Append has a separate result. This is all about append operation that we have in Power Query. Till here, anyone has any questions? Ramesh, any questions so far?
No, Srinivas.
Okay. So that is all about append. And the next one is like merge transformation. In the interview, they will ask in Power Query out of 10 interviews, if they ask anything related to Power Query means out of 7 interviews, they will ask what is a merge, what is an append, what is the difference between a merge and append. They are going to ask. So append, we are done with everything, and append and append queries as a new. The next one is merge. So first of all, before discussing about a merge, let me prepare some data. Like I will utilize one of this table definitely. Like books one, I am going to use it, and this is I will call it as dim book dimension table called book. I have a book ID and book name. I have, let's assume I have a sales data. I have a sales data transaction ID, book ID, quantity. So let's assume I have these things. Transaction ID 1, transaction ID 2, transaction ID 3, transaction ID 4, transaction ID 5. Let's assume book 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, like a 5, 2, 3, 3, 3. Let's assume I have a fact table. I have a fact table like this. I have a dimension table called book which contains book ID, book name information available in one table, and I have a transaction or a sales information where like we have book ID, transaction ID, and quantity we have. Now let's assume that like this is the table that where we are going to create a report based on the book ID. We want to get a book name based on the book ID. Here we have book ID. Here you have a book ID, book name. Based on the book ID, if I want to get a book name, at that time we are going to perform a merge operation. A merge is nothing but join in SQL. If you want to perform a joins at that time, if you want to perform a join in Power Query, we are going to use a merge. Now, like whenever we want to perform a join, we are going to select a merge queries. And whenever you select a merge query, with which table you want to perform a join, you need to select based on what column you want to perform and what is the type of join that you want to perform. So, before we proceed further, why a merge is nothing but a join I mentioned. And when we are going to use a merge, what is the need of a merge is nothing but whenever you want to get a column from a different table, at that time we are going to use a merge. So in this scenario I have a transaction ID, book ID, quantity. I don't have a book name. I want to get a book name from a different table. At that time we are going to perform a merge. If you want to perform a merge, you require at least one column which contains same data or similar data. Okay, so now in a both I want a book name from here and I have a book ID which is matching in both the cases. Now as I require a column from another table, I am going to perform a merge. Now click on merge queries. So in this table book ID, I am going to perform a join with a book ID. You can perform a inner join. Click on OK. Then after you can expand book name. You can observe that the fact table previously that we have contains a books 1 comma 3, whereas dim book we are having a 1 comma 2. As we are performing a inner join, we are going to get only common record which is nothing but a 1. That was the reason in the fact table we got a result with a book ID only 1. This is all about inner join. Left outer join if you want to perform. Left outer join if you want to perform. So in this scenario, we are performing a join with this table, and generally what we are going to, that is fine. So whenever if you want to perform a right outer join, in this scenario, right table is nothing but this one, left table is nothing but this one. Right outer join is nothing but all the records, all the common records we are going to get, which is nothing but a 1, and extra record from a right side we are going to get. So that is where you are able to observe that like in both the tables common record is PowerBI, which is nothing but a book ID 1, and the record which is available only on book side, which is not there in a fact table, is a DAX. That is where the DAX came here. Okay, because I performed a right outer, and if I perform a left outer, the records which are there only on a left side table, which is nothing but a book ID 3, we are going to get. And you can observe that like we have a book ID 1 comma 3 came. And similarly you can perform a full outer join also, which is a combination of left, inner, and right. So this is what inner and these are the records from a left, this is the record from a right, record from a right. Then after left anti, which is nothing but it is going to get the record which is available only in left side, not available in right side. Here we have it, number 3 is left side, which is not available in right side. So left anti is nothing but it is going to get only the records from a left side. Similarly, right anti is nothing but the records which are available only on a right side table, which are not available in left side table. So these are the 6 types of merge operation that we have. They will ask how many merge joins are there, what is a left anti, what is a left outer, and what is a merge. They are going to ask you. So this is all about a merge. And when you are doing a merge, you have an option called use fuzzy matching also. Whenever you make a fuzzy, which is nothing but, so it is a case insensitive, like which means that if you want to ignore the case, you can ignore it. And similarly, if you want to remove the spaces, you can remove it, and you can match with a similarity. let's assume that let's assume that you are having Hyderabad and Hyderabad. So if you have this one, if you are using a fuzzy, it will be matched. Similarly, so if you are having Hydra space bath, if you are using a fuzzy, it is going to match. A fuzzy lookup is nothing but, so if you are not using a fuzzy lookup, it is going to look for exact word with exact spaces, exact case it is going to look. But whenever you use a fuzzy, it will ignore the case, it will ignore the spaces, it will look for the nearest matching that you can provide also as a input. Similarity, how much similarity that you want to provide? It's 60%, 80%, 90%, which means that if it is a 90% matching, you can match, or if it is a 70% matching, you can get that one. So that you can configure here. So no one is going to ask much on this one, but people will ask for these things just to focus on that area. This is all about a merge and append. Similarly, what is a merge queries as a new is nothing but if you want to perform a join on a new table, or if you want to get the result of a join in a new table, at that time we are going to use merge queries as a new. So you can specify a dimension table, you can specify a fact table, you can specify what type of join that you want, click on it, a new table you are going to get it. So merge query or append query is going to perform on the same table, but if you wish to have the result as part of a new table, we are going to use the merge queries as a new, append queries as a new. This is all about a merge and append. Merge is used to get a column from different table. Append is used to get a rows from a different table. That is the main use case. Okay. Any questions still here?
No, Srinivas.
Okay. So this is all about a merge and append. Then after, whenever we load the data from Excel or a CSV, normally some scenarios, some scenarios, just a second. Yeah. Okay. So some scenarios, you will have an Excel file like this. Hmm. Report generated on 5th December 2024 ఒకటి రిపోర్ట్ నేమ్ అని ఒకటి ఏబిసి ఒకటి, దాని తర్వాత ఇక్కడ ఐడి, వాల్యూ అండ్ టోటల్. సో టోటల్ కాకపోతే ఐడి వాల్యూ ఇక్కడ టోటల్ అని, అప్లైడ్ ఫిల్టర్స్ అని, సమ్ 1 2 3 4 100 200 300 400. Okay, so this is a small example how an Excel file which is exported like from any of the web applications. Now in reality your business is going to give this kind of file, and what they are going to ask is, so they will call this as a like December, and they may give a similar data in a different file as a November or a separate sheet in the November here. They will ask that load this data and create a report. In this, the major information that we require only this one. The major information that we required is only this part, and you don't require this one. 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 Okay. So now, when you have a data like this, if you want to load only this part, what you need to do, or whenever you load this one in Power BI, how what you are going to get, you need to understand whatever we discussed yesterday, like remove columns, sorry, remove rows, by using, once you load this one in a Power BI. Let me load it instead of explaining. Okay, I'm just saving this file, browse. In my pictures I'm keeping that one as book one. Same name. Okay, book two. Save. I saved it in a Power BI. I'm just loading an Excel in my pictures. Book two. Load it. So whenever you load it, you are going to get like this. Observe. Like now, from this one, you need to get your data. For that, what I need to do is like remove rows, remove top rows. When I click on that, remove top two rows, got removed. Then after, remove rows, remove bottom rows, two removed. Then after ID and a value, here we are going to click on use, like our header. This is the header. These are the values. What we are going to do is we are going to click on use first row as a header. Now this is the data that we have. From here we are going to continue our development. So whatever we observed yesterday, this is the use case. In reality, you are going to get a data like this. Like I just prepared only small data. You may have a complex data, like which is going to perform more transformations. But I just got only sample data, which you are going to observe like this. That I cleaned like this, and from here I can create a report. I can create a bar chart by keeping x-axis as this one, y-axis as this one, or I can use a card visual for this one. I can use a table. Anything I can do. So this is a small example for what we discussed yesterday. Some scenarios we may remove, some scenarios we may keep. And some people will ask a question. The question is it advisable to clean this one here? Like removing everything here and saving, is it better? Or using Power BI is better? In that scenario, I always prefer to say that doing this transformation yet Power BI is better, because If you are cleaning manually at Excel, every time whenever you exported, every time you need to open and you need to delete and you need to save it. But if you do here, whatever the file that you pass as input, all these transformations will automatically applies, so that automation will happen. Okay, so that is all about like merge and append. Now the next one is like as I mentioned, you have an option called use first row as a header, header as a first row. There are some scenarios. There are some scenarios you will have the column names as part of a data. At that time, we want to promote this as a header. For that, you are going to mention use first row as a header. So whenever you perform that one, whenever remove ID value, whenever you perform that one, just a second. Whatever, I can explain that one anywhere. So let's assume that I have this book table. If you are having a data like this where the book ID, book name is available as part of your data, and in the header you have a column 1, column 2. If you want to move the header which is available in the first row as a header means you are going to select a use first row as a header. Similarly, some scenarios you are going to get a data as a header. At that time you are going to demote that one. You can mention that use header as a first row, so that then after you can provide your own column names whatever you want, you can make it. So for promoting or demoting a first row as a header, we can use this option. This is available at a multiple areas. Use first row as a header, header as a first row. The next one is if you want to replace any specific character or a value in a single column, you have an option called replace value. I want to replace wherever we have small a, I want to replace with a capital A. You can observe that in Canada, CANADA or Germany, France, small a got replaced with a capital A. Similarly, if you have any other value like replace value, I want to replace Canada with only C. You can replace it. So at a column level, you can replace. You can right click and you can click on replace value and you can specify what you want to search with what you want to make. That is what a replace value. Then after data type change, by default, each and every column you are having a respective data type will be there. A data type will be there. And if you want to change it, you can change it. Currently, like I have a unit sold that I wanted to convert into a text, I can make it. Similarly, unit sold, I have a number which is in the form of a text. If I want to convert it, I can make it as a whole number. Replace a current step I can make. So by default for each and every column, whenever you select under a transform data type, you can see the data type, or from here you can see the data type what it is already having. And if you want to change it, you can select it and you can change the data type. That is what changing a data type or a data type and a replace value. The next one is if you want to rename a table, you can double click on the column table name, or if you want to rename the column name, you can double click on that column name and you can give whatever the name that you want to give. Okay, so that is all about renaming a table, renaming a column. Next one is group by. Group by. So we have a lot of raw data, and I don't want all the raw data. I want only three columns like a country, product, and sales. And when I observe this one, country, product, and sales, I can observe the same product we have in a multiple countries like France, with the different values I have. Okay, if you observe this one, by filtering only this one, Umbrella Germany we have, umbrella Germany we have, umbrella Germany we have different value. So whenever you wanted to group the values together, at that time you have an option called group by. It doesn't mean that we need to filter the required columns to perform a group by. If I want to see what is the each country level sales, what I can do is I can perform a group by. I can select a country, I can select a sum of, I can mention a sales, click on OK. It is giving each country level what is the sales. And when you are doing that, you can provide the name of your column, sum of sales. And similarly, if you want to understand each segment wise, what is the sales that we have, group by, instead of a country, you can select this one, sum, and here sales, sum of sales, segment wise sales, each segment wise sales. Similarly, if you want to perform country and segment wise sales, at each country level, each segment level, if you want to understand the sales, at that time, like we have an option called advanced. From basic, you can add only one dimension. But if you want to add a multiple dimensions, you can add here. You can select a country here, country wise, segment wise sales. You can observe that each country level, each segment level, the sales we can get it. That is all about grouping at a multiple dimensions. And similarly, you can add a multiple measures also, like a sum of units sold, units sold, units sold. So click on OK. Like here, I have a country and a segment, and a sum of sales and sum of units I got. So if you want to perform a grouping and if you want to perform an aggregation, at that you have a group by activity. By using a group by, like you can have a single dimension or you can have a multiple dimensions also. So whenever you mention a basic means, like whenever you mention a only a single column you can select. Whenever you mention advanced means multiple columns you can select. That is all about a group by. Till here, any questions that you have, Ramesh? Ashwini, I think you just now
No,
joined
Srinivas.
5 to 10 minutes back. We will upload that video. Please go through that. And if you have any questions, you can give a message. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir. Okay.
I'm stopping till here, and we'll continue from here in the next session. And this video will be uploaded by 11, and just to follow that one. And as we have been observing from last 2 days, remaining concepts also will be easier like this. You just need to understand what is merge, when we are going to use a merge, how to use a merge, that's it.
Sure.
What is append, how to use a append, when we are going to use append, that's it. You don't need to write a code for anything. Like it is a matter of minutes, left click, right click, whatever you want you can select it. But if you can understand or if you remember the terminology of this one, learning of SQL will be very 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 easier. Okay, so just take care till here, remaining things I will take care. Thank you so much for joining and have a good day. Bye.
Bye.